Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide mediation and valuation services based in St. Louis, Missouri. Today, we will discuss M&A sports franchise valuations with Edwin Draughan. Edwin is a sports franchise valuation expert based in Los Angeles, California, and has been a member of Park Lane since 2017. Park Lane is a boutique sports-focused investment bank founded in 2005. Edwin's primary responsibility at Park Lane is to lead the firm's efforts with sports franchise valuations and due diligence, which also includes the client relations, market awareness, deal sourcing, and execution. He also plays an integral role in the firm's sports franchise M&A advisory, early stage capital raising, and traditional real estate divisions. When somebody's trying to decide who to work with, I think it is interesting because there are M&A firms around the country that specialize in dental practices or medical practices or things like that. And they become really good at it. And the reality is a lot of these private transactions that happen, nobody really knows the details of, right? You can't go and get them. You really have to be a part of that process to understand the nuances. Because again, if you're not just basing it on profit, right? And there's all these other factors, then you do need to have the understanding. What other things should they look for? Not only the transactional data, which connotates experience, right? But what other things should they consider when even looking at somebody to either do the valuation or to potentially sell? And are there a lot of people out there doing this? Like, are there a lot of firms out there like yours?
Yeah, I'll say there's a handful of boutique investment banks like ours that also provide valuations. There's also a handful of people who focus on sports valuations and don't do M&A advisory and other stuff. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, if you're looking to get a valuation and really understand the value of that sports franchise, you need to find somebody with experience, and you need to find somebody with kind of that data to really compare it to. And then with any type of agreement or partnership, you got to find somebody that you like. So I think that's another kind of key component to any type of person you're trying to bring on to help you with anything. So I think those are the main areas that I would strongly suggest people look for in terms of finding somebody to help them out on the valuation.
Well, and I think one more question that I have, and then we'll talk a little bit more about Park Lane and how people can contact you and such, is that, I'm not going to ask you specifically this. I'm going to make a statement and then I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
I think it's probably really fascinating to negotiate with billionaires. I also think they might be a little tough to handle when they're like, let's not get in the minutia of if it's 10 or 20 or 100 million. But what do you hear when you're talking to buyers, and what are they looking for in these sports franchises? Is it really all just, the thrill of saying that you own a sports franchise, or do you start to see a lot of other things that are of interest?
Yeah, I would say clearly there's that component of I just want to be in a sports franchise, and there's that. But ultimately, they kind of want to understand, how much hair is on this deal, how much stuff is kind of underneath the hood, how much stuff they need to be concerned about, because again, there's the transaction price, and then there's potential additional capital that needs to be pumped into the franchise at a later date. Nobody wants to go and get a bill, and you don't want to buy a bill. So, understanding kind of, it may not be cash flowing amazingly, but you don't want to start, pay for $1 billion for something and then have to pay 50 million the next year and 75 million. You don't want to do that. So kind of understanding the subtleties around the sports franchise is, I would say, probably number two. And then just understanding kind of the market dynamics. Where are things going? Where are things at now? Do we see kind of a positive shift in demographics in this particular market? How is that going to kind of impact future revenue potential and things of that nature? So I think those are kind of the main things that buyers look at. But at the end of the day, billionaires are a very small subsector of our of our country, and they're very different. I will say that I wouldn't consider them as they're all the same. No, some people are very particular about certain aspects. Other people don't particularly care, and a lot of in between as well. So,
which quite frankly is the nature of deals in general, right?
correct.
I mean, part of you sitting in the middle as an advisor or an M&A, an investment banker, basically, is being able to zig and zag depending upon what the buyer and seller is important to them, right? Because every single deal, no matter if you're talking big dollars like this deal or smaller ones, is going to be the same type of process. But Park Lane is the firm that you work with, and you've been
Correct.
working with them for quite a while. So do you want to tell us a little bit more about what you can offer through Park Lane, how people would reach out to you? What's a typical, because I kind of see you as a good referral person, like if somebody, not that they would come to me, but if somebody did come to me and say, hey, we got this, even some type of, because it could be a small ownership, right? It could be like a 1% or 5% or something like that.
Exactly.
What can you tell them about, and a lot of other valuation people watch this as well or listen to this podcast, so when do we need to send somebody to you? Like, what are the things that you really focus on in addition to the big deals?
Well, I would say short answer to that question is, at any time you're interested about the valuation of a sports franchise, regardless of size, that'd be a great time to reach out. But to kind of go in a little more detail about Park Lane, because we're pretty unique and we've expanded our services over the past few years. And, we were founded as a sports focused investment bank where we primarily just did M&A advisory, helping people sell sports teams. And then we added kind of our capital raising services where we focused on kind of early to mid stage sports based and sports adjacent companies and helping them raise capital anywhere from Series A upwards to growth. That role, that kind of division kind of bifurcated. And now we also do a lot of, venture funds, kind of very niche venture funds that, more in the kind of consumer tech sports space and helping them raise capital as well. And again, this is all kind of the progression or the evolution of our firm. And more recently, we've gotten into traditional real estate. And this helps us in our sports space just because, real estate is a key component to values and the sports industry. But now we get into more traditional kind of multifamily and helping fund a few of our clients' vehicles and products. So we're very active in that space. And then lastly, we help transact secondaries. So think of kind of later stage pre-IPO type companies. Think of SpaceX. We connect buyers with sellers and sellers to buyers. These are companies that are not public, but are clearly multi-billion-dollar companies, and people are looking to get in. And we create a market and help kind of facilitate, the sale or the disposition of some shares. So we are relatively unique in that space, just across our many verticals, our many strategies, but they all kind of coalesce very well. Our investor network and just our network in general really gravitates to a lot of the offer, a lot of the services that we offer. And we kind of tailor our services based on kind of feedback from our network. So, very unique in that. And in terms of reaching out to me, I think you have my email address up. Feel free to reach out. You can go to our website, which is prkln.com for more information. And also, I think we have our phone number up.